To be replaced as the commissioner of the WNBA?
I do. I've known Kathy for a while. I like her. She's a woman in a man's world. She ran Deloitte. We're a few years apart in age. I totally respect that as someone who had a lot of that, being the only woman in the press box or whatever. University of Miami, as you know, and other places, maybe one or two of us, and that was the only woman in the locker room, etc. So I respect her background and her leadership and this great resume that she has. I don't get this. I don't get it at all.
There it is. USA Today's Christine Brennan just said out loud what half the league has been whispering for months. Cathy Engelbert should be gone. And this isn't some random hot take artist looking for clicks. Brennan wrote the book on Caitlin Clark's arrival in the WNBA, literally. She's covered this league for decades, so when she says the commissioner needs to go, that's not noise. That's a problem.
And asked by journalists, picking up John Wertheim with 60 Minutes as an example, asked about Caitlin Clark, and then her answer is, well, Caitlin and Angel. And John Wertheim, to his great credit, wonderful friend and obviously great colleague, says, no, I didn't ask you about Angel. I only asked you about Caitlin. And then in her the WNBA playoffs I covered in the finals in 2024, went on and on about all the things that had happened that year: record-breaking attendance, TV viewership, moving to bigger arenas, all because of one person, Caitlin
Clark, baby.
That I think was close to 20 minutes, 18, 19 minutes. Kathy Engelbert never said the words Caitlin Clark, never uttered her.
John Wertheim asked about Caitlin Clark. Engelbert answered with Caitlin and Angel. He had to stop her mid-sentence and say, no, I didn't ask about Angel. I asked about Caitlin. That's not a slip. That's a pattern. And the worst part, during the WNBA Finals press conference in 2024, Engelbert spent 18 minutes talking about record attendance, charter flights, new TV deals, bigger arenas, all of it driven by one player, and never said Caitlin Clark's name, not once. 18 minutes of talking about the effects without naming the cause. You don't do that by accident. You do that when you've made a calculated decision to downplay someone, and it's backfiring in real time.
Things like that picture that's going to last forever of Alyssa Thomas's fist on the throat of Caitlin Clark, the woman who's responsible for the charter flights and more money, at least in some ways, with the collective bargaining agreement that Alyssa Thomas is getting. So that fist to the throat, and also kneeing her groin beforehand, and then the very weak penalty. That's the other thing. Slap on the wrist, $1,000 fine for a woman, Alyssa Thomas, making $1.2 million this year, obviously because of the increase in interest and the salaries, in part because of Caitlin, large part because of Caitlin Clark, and also just a one-game suspension when it should have been, I think, at least 10 games.
And here's where it gets worse. That picture Brennan just mentioned, Alyssa Thomas's fist on Caitlin Clark's throat, that image is going to outlive this entire season. It's going to be the defining visual of how the WNBA treated its biggest star. Thomas made $1.2 million this year, in part because of the new CBA that came through after Caitlin Clark's arrival drove revenue through the roof. The penalty? A $1,000 fine and a one-game suspension. Brennan said it should have been 10 games minimum. I'm not sure she's wrong. Let me put that in perspective. $1,000 to someone making $1.2 million is 0.08% of their annual salary. If you make $50,000 a year, that's the equivalent of a $40 fine for choking the face of the league on national television.
It's been on Caitlin Clark's side the entire time, besides content creators in the big media, is USA Today reporter Christine Brennan. Christine Brennan wrote an exceptional, great book when Caitlin Clark first arrived in the WNBA, talked about the rise and how basically we got here. Now, I've been following Caitlin Clark and reporting on the young lady since she was in college back at Iowa. So if it's anybody that knows the journey she has took to get to where she's at, it's definitely me, man. I'd have been to Carver. Now I'd have been to Indy a few times. And one thing I can say is never a dull moment to see Caitlin Clark hitting logo threes or when her name get called. Number 22 out of Iowa, from Desmond, Iowa. Caitlin Clark, and the arena just erupts. It just sends chills up your spine. Highly recommend you guys to go check it out for yourself and see what the hell I'm talking about.
The creator in this video has been following Caitlin Clark since Iowa. He's been to Carver Hawkeye Arena, he's watched her hit logo threes in person, heard the crowd erupt when her name gets called, and his point is simple: since the day she arrived in the WNBA, it's been one assault after another. Not just physical, though there's been plenty of that, but sabotage. From her own head coach, from the league office, from the way the WNBA marketed its own 30th anniversary. They left her off the poster, the Michael Jordan of their league, the player who single-handedly made casual fans care about women's basketball, and they left her off the anniversary poster. The excuse was they wanted Diana Taurasi front and center with her rings. Fine, respect to Taurasi. But when you're celebrating 30 years and the biggest thing that's happened to your league in a decade isn't on the poster, that's not an oversight, that's a choice.
We cannot forget that 60-minute interview, bro. Go check it out. I reported on it years ago on the channel. Now, something else that she said that stuck out. Without Caitlin Clark, y'all don't get charter flights. Y'all don't get these big old media deals, right? Ain't it crazy? Y'all get the new media right deal right when Caitlin Clark get here. This is what we need to discuss. The disrespect with Caitlin Clark is at an all-time high. And I want to touch on this. We have to touch on this. Last year, when I was in CBA negotiation, there was many reports that I was receiving that part of the agreement for signing the new CBA was for them to get a new commissioner. That's what I was hearing verbatim, simply because of the Nafisa Collier exit interview. Now, fast forward, it took months upon...
Now here's the part that should actually scare the WNBA. Last year, during CBA negotiations, there were reports, unconfirmed, but from multiple people close to the talks, that part of the players' demand for signing the new deal was getting a new commissioner, that Engelbert was on her way out. The talks dragged for months. Training camp started late, the draft got pushed, and then Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, had to step in and hold a press conference essentially saying, "Kathy's staying." Whatever leverage the players thought they had, it evaporated. Engelbert survived, and now we're watching the fallout in real time. Because if the players wanted her gone and the league forced them to keep her, that's not a partnership, that's a power struggle. And the person caught in the middle of it is Caitlin Clark.
Jordan. If you want to talk about the injuries, you want to talk about the impact of the game, without Caitlin Clark, none of us will be watching the WNBA. It's just that simple. No disrespect to any other players that came before her, but as of right now, we cannot take away the greatness that she has brought to the game of women's basketball. But just like I stated, it came with some loopholes, and the loopholes are being exposed each and every day.
He's right. Without Caitlin Clark, none of us are watching the WNBA at this level. That's not disrespect to the players who came before her, it's just reality. The numbers don't lie. Iowa's games were pulling bigger ratings than NBA playoff games. Her first WNBA game set a viewership record. Arenas that used to be half empty were selling out and moving to bigger venues. Sponsors who wouldn't return calls a year ago were lining up with 8-figure deals. And the league's response to all of that? Silence her name. Let her get physically targeted. Find the people who do it like they stole a piece of gum. Caitlin Clark is the reason there are charter flights now. She's the reason the salary cap went up. And the thanks she gets is a fist to the throat and a commissioner who won't say her name.
What she did in a recent interview that took place yesterday. I want to play y'all this. And then after we listen to this and watch this, I'm going to take y'all to Christine Brennan's X account. Now let's roll this and let's watch it and listen.
Remember that 60 Minutes interview? Engelbert said, "Drama is what fills the seats. Not great basketball, not generational talent. Drama." She said it out loud, on camera, like it was a strategy. And maybe that explains everything. Maybe the league office actually believes that letting Caitlin Clark get targeted, letting the jealousy and the physicality boil over, is good for business. Controversy gets clicks, fights get replays, so why step in? Here's why. Because when your product is drama instead of excellence, you're building on sand. Casual fans showed up for Caitlin Clark because she's must-see basketball. They're not going to stay if every game turns into a referendum on whether she deserves to be there. They're going to leave. And when they leave, those charter flights go away, those TV deals get renegotiated, the bubble pops.
Kathy Engelbert is a businesswoman, CEO of Fortune 500 companies. What the hell she got doing running a basketball league? Now, a lot of the success, some of the success before Caitlin Clark was simply on Kathy. But we cannot take away the success that Caitlin has brought to this game. And for Alyssa Thomas to only be suspended for one game and $1,000 fine is simply rhetorical. And me personally, she should have been suspended, just like Christine Brennan said, for 10 plus games. Hands down, you cannot go out.
Brennan's point about Engelbert's background is important. She ran Deloitte. She was CEO of 4,500 companies. That's an incredible resume. But running a basketball league is not the same as running a consulting firm. In business, you manage spreadsheets and stakeholders. In sports, you manage egos, legacies, and public perception in real time. And the skills don't always transfer. Engelbert might be great at closing sponsorship deals and negotiating media rights. But when it comes to protecting the integrity of the game, reading the room, and understanding that the face of your league is being physically brutalized on national television and you need to do something about it immediately, she's been paralyzed. That's Brennan's word, paralyzed. And it's hard to argue.
So something's going on and leadership is needed. And when you have a void like this, the void is filled with anger and aggression, and you get things.
Leadership is needed. And when there's a void, it gets filled with anger and aggression. That's not just a good line. That's what we've been watching all season. Players who should be celebrating the rise of the league are instead resentful that one rookie is getting all the attention. Coaches who should be drawing up plays to feature their stars are instead letting their teams play street ball and target the player bringing in the revenue. And the commissioner, who should be stepping in and saying this stops now, is instead pretending it's not happening. The void Brennan is talking about isn't just about Engelbert refusing to say Caitlin's name. It's about the absence of any coherent vision for what the WNBA is supposed to be right now. Is it a league that celebrates its biggest star, or is it a league that resents her? Because right now, it's trying to be both, and that doesn't work.
Get the CBA done, hence why the season started. Well, I believe the season started on time, but we had late training camp and I believe a late draft. Adam Silver had to step in. Adam Silver gave a press conference, pretty much state to the world that they're keeping Kathy. Whatever the case is, Kathy Engelbert, from my knowledge, was not supposed to be returning as the commissioner. And just like Christine Brennan just said, she's incapable of running a women's basketball league, let alone any league.
Let's go back to that Nafisa Collier exit interview, because that's the moment this all started to crack open. Collier, one of the league's best players, gave an interview at the end of last season that reportedly made it clear the players had serious issues with how the league was being run. The details weren't all made public, but the fallout was. CBA negotiations that should have taken weeks dragged into months. And the rumor, again, unconfirmed but widely reported, was that replacing Engelbert was part of the ask. It didn't happen. Adam Silver stepped in, Engelbert stayed, and the players signed the deal. But if you're wondering why there's so much tension this season, why it feels like half the league is playing angry, that's part of it. They wanted change at the top. They didn't get it. And now the same problems they were complaining about are still there, only worse, because Caitlin Clark's arrival has made all of it impossible to ignore.
Just like Christine Brennan said, for 10 plus games. Hands down, you cannot go out here and assault people on national television and expect to come back and act like nothing has happened. Because that is simply what they're doing, acting like nothing has happened.
10 games. That's what Brennan said the suspension should have been. And honestly, when you lay out what actually happened, it's hard to argue. Alyssa Thomas kneed Caitlin Clark in the back, then put her fist on her throat in front of millions of people watching live. Not a basketball play. not even close. And the league's response was a symbolic fine and a one-game timeout like she's in middle school. Compare that to how other leagues handle this. The NBA would have handed down at least 5 games for something that blatant, maybe more, depending on history. The NFL would have made it a multi-game suspension and a real fine. The WNBA gave Thomas the equivalent of a parking ticket and called it justice. And the message that sends to every other player in the league is clear. You can go after Caitlin Clark and nothing real will happen to you.
Clark, none of us will be watching the WNBA. It's just that simple. No disrespect to any other players that came before her, but as of right now, we cannot take away the greatness that she has brought to the game of women's basketball.
Here's the thing people outside the WNBA don't always understand. This isn't just about one player being popular. It's about what happens when a league that's been starving for attention suddenly gets it, and half the people inside that league don't know how to handle it. For years, WNBA players have been asking for respect, for coverage, for investment, and they deserved it. The talent was always there, but the audience wasn't. Then Caitlin Clark shows up, and overnight, the audience arrives. Sold-out arenas, primetime TV slots, mainstream media coverage. Everything they asked for, and instead of rallying around it, a vocal portion of the league spent the season trying to tear her down. Not because she's not good enough, because she is, and that's the problem. She's so good and so popular that she's exposing how far behind everyone else was in terms of marketability and mainstream appeal. And some people took that personally.
Now, ever since Caitlin Clark arrived to this league, there has been troubles and setbacks that really, to me, a lot of it has not been on her. There's been a lot of assaults taking place on the basketball court. It's been a whole lot of sabotaging, not only by her head coach, but definitely by the league itself.
The league dropped the WNBA 30th anniversary poster and left the Michael Jordan of the league off of it. Let that sit for a second. You're celebrating 3 decades of your league. You've got the biggest star you've ever had, the player who's responsible for a massive surge in revenue and attention, and you don't put her on the poster. The explanation was that they wanted to honor Diana Taurasi and her legacy. Totally fair. Taurasi is a legend, but it's not an either-or situation. You can honor the past and acknowledge the present at the same time, unless you can't. Unless the politics inside the league office are so messy, and the fear of backlash from veteran players is so strong, that you'd rather leave your biggest star off the poster than deal with the controversy of putting her on it. If that's the calculation they made, it's the wrong one. Because now, the story isn't WNBA celebrates 30 years. The story is WNBA leaves Caitlin Clark off the poster, and that's a much worse headline.
To me, I believe Maya Moore is Caitlin Clark's favorite basketball player, if I'm not mistaken, on the women's side, but when it comes to her herself, she's the closest thing since Jordan. If you want to talk about the injuries, you want to talk about the impact of the game, without Caitlin.
He's been following Caitlin since Iowa. He knows the journey, and his frustration is the same frustration a lot of people feel watching this. Caitlin Clark didn't ask for any of this. She just showed up and played basketball at a level that made people pay attention. And instead of protecting her, instead of building the league around her the way the NBA built around Magic and Bird in the 80s, the WNBA has spent the season acting like she's the problem. She's not the problem, she's the solution. And the longer it takes the league to figure that out, the more damage gets done. Because this window won't stay open forever. Casual fans will move on if the product they're being sold is drama and dysfunction instead of great basketball. And when they do, the WNBA will be right back where it started, playing in front of half-empty arenas, begging for coverage, wondering what went wrong. So here's the question nobody in the league office wants to answer. If Caitlin Clark walked away tomorrow, what happens? Do the charter flights stay? Do the TV deals hold? Do the arenas stay full? Or does everything that arrived with her leave with her? Because if the answer is the latter, and I think we all know it is, then the way she's being treated right now isn't just unfair. It's organizational malpractice. Christine Brennan is right. Kathy Engelbert should be replaced, not because she's a bad person, not because she hasn't done some good things for the league, but because the moment is bigger than her ability to manage it. The WNBA is at a crossroads. It can either become the league Caitlin Clark's arrival made possible, or it can collapse back into irrelevance because the people in charge were too paralyzed, too political, or too proud to do what needed to be done. What do you think? Should Engelbert go, or is this all overblown? Drop your take in the comments. And if you made it this far, hit the like button and subscribe, because we're going to keep covering this until something changes. See you in the next one.